All right, tail malpractice insurance. We need to talk a little bit about that. I'm Dr. Hochman, a medical matchmaker. As a family medicine physician and huge physician advocate, I help doctors to find the jobs of their dreams. All right, here's a scenario that you have probably found yourself in. You decide to leave a job, whether it's to take another job, to move across the country, to leave medicine entirely, whatever the reason may be. So you give your notice, and then you find out that something in your contract says you do not have tail malpractice insurance. So, what that means is once you leave, you have to pay for the malpractice insurance for ever after, so that if you get sued after you leave, you're covered for everything that you did while you were employed at this practice. So, of course, you're going to freak out. You're going to call the malpractice insurance company that is covering you. And this is what we need to know about it. First, call them up, get a quote. Now, the quote is going to be very different depending on your specialty. So, when you get a quote for malpractice insurance, give yourself about 5 minutes to freak out because it's going to be a very large number, especially if you've been in practice a long time. Then, once you're done freaking out, you take a deep breath, and then you find a malpractice insurance broker who will then negotiate around all the different companies for you and get that price down very significantly, like in the thousands. So, step one, freak out. Step two, calm down. Step three, call your malpractice insurance broker. And step four, let them do all the work, and all you have to do is sign it. So, it kind of sucks, but it's not the end of the world, and definitely not a reason to not leave a practice that you're miserable in. So, I want to talk a little bit about tail malpractice insurance from the standpoint of a small private practice. Back before I started doing the medical matchmaking, I used to think that any practice that has a tail that is not included in their contract should be a complete deal breaker. And I do still somewhat think that way in some situations, but certainly not all. And all the practices that I've spoken to that do not cover tail, it's actually for a pretty good reason. They spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on a new physician. And I'm not just talking about the cost of recruiting this doctor. What I'm saying is that they are going to float your salary, because if you start and you're not full day one, guess what? They're paying you from their salary. They're taking a pay cut so that you can get paid. And then for them to pay tail, if you were to leave early, like before you've made back that money that they've lost from employing you, that's really tough for them. So, I definitely see it from their perspective now, which I didn't before. The large hospitals, if they pay for tail, well, of course, they're making money off of not just you and your visits, but the imaging you order, the labs you order, the hospital admissions for your patients, all of those things. So you do need to understand that the practice that is small and owned by a small group is financially in a different position than a large company who's in bed with the insurance companies. So definitely, I think that's something to keep in mind when you're negotiating your contracts is when it comes to tails, see how it can be beneficial to you. Is there some sort of clause in the contract that the longer you stay, the more they pay of the tail? Or, what can you do that really makes sense to both sides? And you may hear something like, well, this is always the way we've done it. But even by bringing it up, I think that it will really, just make them think. I mean, it's not a big system where nothing changes and it's take it or leave it. In the small practices, you get to just deal with human beings and not big corporate systems. So, those are my 2 cents on tail. If you're hit with a big tail bill, give yourself time to freak out, and then you're done. So don't let tail malpractice insurance be the reason you stay in a job that's making you miserable. If you find yourself in that situation, give me a call. or message me on my website, happydayhealth.co, and let's find you something better. Let's find you a job that'll make you happy and that'll make you excited to wake up each morning.